Hello everyone, this is Alex with the TimeKeeper development team to show you some new functionality on the timesheet coming in version 0.6.2 regarding overtime and double time hours. TimeKeeper has always automatically calculated when an employee reaches overtime or double time on their timesheet and used that information in the PDF reports that we produce that you can submit to payroll. However, it cannot automatically determine which projects an employee worked on that should take those overtime and double time rates in terms of labor costs. So any system that wanted to use timekeeper data to give you information about the cost of your contracts would not be able to do so accurately because we didn't have any way of specifying that these hours are regular time, these hours are overtime, and these hours are double time. That's something that we want to accommodate going forward as we produce more project reporting tools and as we implement automatic submission to SAP. So we've introduced the ability for you to assign overtime and double time hours that are calculated to specific entries on the timesheet. So here I have a timesheet that has 8 hours of overtime on it. As you can see, the hours at the top have a red background to indicate that this sheet has calculated overtime. And down here at the bottom of Saturday, the hours have a red background to indicate that it has calculated that there are overtime hours on Saturday. And what's new in version 0.6.2 is this banner across the top, which lists anything that needs attention by the supervisor before this timesheet can be approved. Now, these things won't prevent an employee from submitting the sheet, but they will prevent the sheet from being approved until they are handled. In this banner, we'll show schedule change requests that are still pending PTO requests, and now any overtime and double time that need to be assigned. In this case, I have 8 overtime hours that still need to be assigned, and as such, I cannot approve this timesheet. So I'm going to have to pick out of these hours which of them are the 8 overtime hours. And in this case, it's probably pretty simple. I worked 8 hours on Saturday, which is not only the last 8 hours I worked in the week, but it's outside of my normal schedule. So the hours should probably go against this Alex test project entry. So I can make this an overtime entry by clicking it and selecting edit entry. And as a supervisor, I can pick which type of hours these are. And I'm looking to assign overtime hours, and I'll submit that. And now you can see that this entry has a thick black border around it to indicate that these are overtime hours. And as such, the banner at the top has disappeared because I no longer have any hours to assign, and the approve button is now enabled so I could submit this timesheet and be done. But if I had a slightly different situation, let's say that I had worked 5 hours on this project and 5 hours on this project, and because I'm working in California, working 10 hours when I'm only scheduled for 8 results in 2 hours of overtime. So out of these 2 entries, I need to find 2 hours of overtime. There are multiple ways that this could have happened. I might have worked these 5 hours, then these 5 hours, in which case I should probably say that the last 2 hours worked against this project are the overtime hours. Or it might have been the reverse. I might work on this project first and then that project, in which case 2 hours of this activity should probably be specified as overtime. Or it might have been something different, like 4 hours on this project, then 4 on this project, then 1 here and 1 here. In which case, I'm going to need to say that 1 hour of each of these activities should be overtime. So I'm going to proceed with that in mind and say I need 1 hour out of these 5 to be overtime. One way I can do that is to select this and go to the copy to Monday. So I have 2 entries for the same thing on Monday. This one I will reduce to 4 hours as regular time, and this one I will reduce to 1 hour of overtime. And now I have 4 hours of regular time and 1 hour of overtime assigned to this project. Same activity, same information. And then I need to do the same thing with this project, but there is actually an easier way, which is that when you select this entry, we provide an assigned overtime and an assigned double time option in this little drop down that allows you to break this entry into 2 entries, one of which will be regular time and the other will be overtime or double time for the hours that you select. So in this case, I want to select 1 hour of overtime. So I'll go here and pick 1 hour. And those menus allow you to pick any increment of 15 minutes from 15 minutes up until the total number of hours for the entry that you're working with. And so now I've got 1 hour of overtime and 4 hours of regular time assigned for each of these activities, and that handles the 2 hours of overtime that it calculated, and now I'm able to submit this timesheet. Now, this is something that supervisors are going to have to do going forward anytime you're approving a timesheet that has overtime or double time assigned to it. And this will set up the data so that any system that's trying to use TimeKeeper data to calculate labor costing, whether it's a project reporting tool or we're automatically submitting to SAP and their system needs to know, it will be able to calculate that labor cost correctly because it will know that these hours are overtime, these hours are regular time. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, feel free to post them to the Google community for TimeKeeper, and we will address them as quickly as possible. Beyond that, thanks for watching, and have a nice day.